If the time is not managed well, it will give rise to stress, and if you are under stress, you will not be in a position to manage the time. So, for civil services, both stress management and time management are so important because civil service preparation requires more than a year. It is a very long preparedness. But civil service, as I said, is a service which requires a huge amount of dedication and lot of motivation to prepare and consistently remain in focus for almost 1.5 years, and that is why the challenges are much more in civil services. Ability of a person is determined by 3 factors. They are generally called as KSA, so knowledge, skills and attitudes. All these things, 3 things are important for preparation for the civil services. You have to improve your knowledge, which is reflected in the form of intelligence quotient. You require 8 plus 8 plus 8, so 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of preparation and 8 hours for other activities like social interaction, sports, games, long walks, meditation, humor.
Hello aspirants and welcome to our conversation series video. In this video, we will be discussing a very important topic with UPSC aspirants face is that of managing stress. Joining us today will be a retired IAS officer, Krishna Mohan sir, who is a faculty at VISION IAS. A very warm welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Paritosh. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, let's dig in directly into the topic. Why is stress management important specifically for UPSC aspirants?
So, Paritosh, I am reminded of a very interesting saying which said, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Civil service is a crown service and uneasiness is bound to happen both during the civil service as well as for preparation of civil service. You must be remembering the days which we spent in schools and colleges when we had to go to recite a poem or act in a one-act play before a large group of audience, and then our legs started shaking, our mouth will become dry, and the voice will also be wavering. These are all examples of stress. So, stress is a very natural phenomenon and it is bound to happen, and in fact there are 2 terms which we normally use. One is stress management, the other is time management. Both are interrelated. If the time is not managed well, it will give rise to stress, and if you are under stress, you will not be in a position to manage the time. So, for civil services, both stress management and time management are so important because civil service preparation requires more than a year. It is a very long preparedness, and during that time there are ups and downs of moods and it requires very focused studying. You have to cover a huge amount of syllabus, and then there are always uncertainties. There are 3 levels of examination, prelims and mains and interviews, and therefore because of the uncertainty, the aspirant always has this feeling that what will happen if I don't. So, that gives a lot of stress, and this stress has to be overcome. I would not say that it can be removed completely, it cannot be removed, it has to be managed. So, that is the stress management.
Sir, as you talked about and explained us what exactly is stress. So, during this whole preparation process, students gets very overwhelmed with the preparation journey and they sometimes do not acknowledge the fact that they are going through stress. So, what are the signs which students should watch out for, maybe so that they can acknowledge the fact that yes, this is because of stress?
So, Paritosh, there are many signs which are quite visible. Some signs are physiological in nature, some are psychological in nature. For example, racing of pulse, the mouth becoming dry, sleeping disorders, stomach upsets, and then things connected with for example, irritation. So, one becomes very irritable, and all these things are visible signs of stress, that stress is happening, and all this happens because one has to study for very long hours and the course is so huge. So, therefore, sooner or later one gets worked up with such a huge amount of syllabus to cover up, and therefore, there are, as I said, ups and downs in the moods, mood swings are there, and we have to manage them through variety of ways. So, as I said, the most common sign is sleep disorder. You will not be in a position to get good sleep. the other is irritation, third is food habits. So you sometimes don't like to take food, and sometimes what happens, you don't like to mix with people, the pulse starts raising, your mouth becomes dry, your face becomes red, and heartbeats moves faster. All these things which are the signs of stress, which do happen. They happen for all kinds of examination, but civil service, as I said, is a service which requires a huge amount of dedication and lot of motivation to prepare and consistently remain in focus for almost 1.5 years, and that is why the challenges are much more in civil services.
So now that if a student has identified that he is going through a stress, the signs which you discussed, then what are the effective ways through which they can manage these signs?
So Paritosh, there are a number of ways. First of all, let me say that stresses are caused because of emotions. So at the beginning, I would like to say that the ability of a person is determined by 3 factors. They are generally called as KSA, so knowledge, skills and attitudes. All these things, 3 things are important for preparation for the civil services. You have to improve your knowledge, which is reflected in the form of intelligence quotient. The second is you have to manage your emotions, because emotions cause the stress. So that is the emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. And the third thing is called as physical quotient. So you have to manage your health, because 1.5 years, if you fall ill very often, you will not be in a position to prepare the syllabus, you will fall behind, and the competition is so severe, 10 lakh people appearing for the prelims, that itself is a huge challenge. So therefore, what are the different ways of managing these stress are basically connected with the way you manage the emotions. So the emotional upsets can be managed, number one, by meeting people socially. Social interaction is very essential. Number two, whenever you are preparing, take gaps. Don't continuously go on studying, you must take out gap. In fact, I always say that you require 8 plus 8 plus 8. So 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of preparation, and 8 hours for other activities like social interaction, sports, games, long walks, meditation, humor. All these things are diversions which bring down the levels of stress. So my strong suggestion to all the aspirants would be that prepare a schedule, a routine in which everything should be there. It should not be such that you do one thing today and forget it tomorrow. So as I said, 8 plus 8 plus 8, the third 8 which requires social interaction. So go and meet your colleagues, your friends, your relatives, the professors, to know more about the subjects which you are studying. Number 2, play some game. So it can be volleyball, it can be football, it can be table tennis, it can be indoor, outdoor game, any game. Number 3 is a bit of laughter. So laughter always brings down the stress. Then some of the things like, for example, things like which we normally resort to in day to day life to bring down the stress. I would like to add, for example, playing cards or watching television. If you are fond of watching television or listening to the old songs, radio, do that because they act as an antidote to all these things. Besides that, I would also suggest that whenever you feel that you are emotionally upset, immediately take yourself off from that place, because the more, if you remain alone there, it is going to create more problems for you. So never when you are emotionally upset, never remain alone, and social interaction is one. Then meditation can be of various types. So mindfulness meditation can be there. I am not going to say any particular meditation, but any type of meditation you do, that is going to definitely help you out. Then breathing. So breathing exercises always help. In fact, before going for interview also, I always suggest to the candidates that take 3 long breaths, and that is going to bring down the emotional stresses that you are facing. At the same time, doing some self talk. So standing before a mirror and speaking, doing some self talk. There are many techniques which are there to bring down the anxiety levels. For example, the tapping method is there, is one of the very tested methods, tapping method, which brings down the anxiety levels. So just a combination of all these things. If you are fond of chocolates, take chocolates. If you are fond of reading books, read books. If you are fond of humor, take time off to read books on humor and laughter, meeting your parents, meeting your colleagues, meeting your sister, your brother, and making a routine, going out on long walks. So all these things. And one last thing which I was mentioning, that there are 5 types of in fact 6 types of questions which are required. One thing I mentioned was IQ. So knowledge, you have to go on reading, most of the time you are reading, so that is IQ. The second was emotional quotient, which is managing the emotions, which to bring down the stress. Number 3 was the physical quotient. So take care of your health. You have to be fit before the service also, while preparing, as well as during the service. If you fall sick, nobody is going to assign you an important job. And the fourth is SQ, which is social quotient. So meet socially people, so that the stress level goes down. Fifth is called as spiritual quotient. So your ethical side, helping others, all these things bring lot of happiness to us. Ultimately the aim is to get happiness and not get stress. And the last is adversity quotient. So there will be ups and downs in your life daily, on a daily basis, mood swings will be there. You must be able to manage those adversities in life.
So what can I infer from your explanation regarding stress management is that firstly it is very important to acknowledge the fact that one is going through a stress and then to effectively manage it. Then my next question is, how is Vision IAS maybe helping students, or is going to help students in order to overcome this whole stress management issue?
So Paritosh, Vision IAS has done a huge amount of service to the aspirants in terms of material, in terms of test series, and it understands and recognizes the needs of the aspirants as they evolve over a period of time. And therefore, for catering to the wellness of the students, Vision IAS has created a student wellness cell, which is going to provide all kinds of assistance and helps to overcome the stresses, to manage time, to ensure wellness of the aspirants, and to ensure that the anxiety levels, etc., then the motivation, the counseling, all these things are taken care of. You name it, whatever problems the aspirants or students face in their private as well as the professional life, because preparing is actually professional thing, preparing for the civil services, and privately also there are many stresses which one goes through. So Vision IAS has created this cell. It's a unique feature, a pioneering effort by Vision IAS, which is going to help out students, so that whenever there are such moods which are ups and downs, or there are anxiety levels, or there are things connected with the preparation where the students invariably passes through various kinds of emotions, stresses or time, they can always turn themselves towards this particular cell. And there we have got very extra qualified people, especially for this purpose, who are going to guide and goad and motivate and prompt the aspirants, so that the studies go uninterrupted without any stress level, and they are in a position to come out victoriously through the examination.
I'm sure this initiative, very noble initiative, Vision IAS, is going to help students a lot regarding stress management. So that now we'll discuss one by one what are the different factors of stress management. Firstly, I would like to ask you how important it is to maintain a routine in the preparation process, maybe, and one of the factors which leads to stress.
So Paritosh, making a routine, because 1.5 years of preparation requires sincere and systematic study, and because that is the only thing which is going to get sure success. So sincere and systematic, the word systematic requires a routine, a schedule, because every day you have to prepare a schedule, what exactly you are going to study, how you are going to study, and how the time is going to be divided into various papers. So making a routine and not making it haphazard, because if you make it haphazard, you will be under constant stress and tension, because you will know that, oh, I have done this paper but I have forgotten that paper. So therefore, in order to have a holistic study for one full year, you need to have a day-to-day routine schedule which will incorporate all the papers which you need to study. So therefore, making a routine is absolutely a must, because some people ask me whether one should study only one subject continuously, and I always say, well, it differs from person to person, but It is always better if you have a cafeteria mix. Every day one should try to study a number of subjects and have a mix of them, but that will be possible only when you make a routine, that say from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock I will study this, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock I will study this. If you don't do that, it will become absolutely haphazard and it will cause even greater amount of stress. But if you make a good, neat schedule, routine, you will be knowing where you stand, and that will be going to be very helpful and bringing down your stress levels.
So during this preparation process, while preparing for the examination, student dwell almost most of their time in preparation only, and again they don't pursue their hobbies and their interests. How important it is to pursue their hobbies and interests along with preparation in order to manage stress?
So Paritosh, hobbies and stress is something, hobbies and interests, they are two things which in any case they form part of the DAF also. At the time of personality interview, you have to mention those hobbies. And I always say that uh, academics is not the only thing which you need to have in life. You have to have hobbies and interests because they are the spice of life and they bring a lot of solace and satisfaction to you. Reading continuously for 8 hours is definitely going to bring you down in terms of mental fatigue. So in order to overcome that fatigue, you have to have hobbies. It can be a hobby, a stamp collection, it can be reading books, it can be volleyball, outdoor game, it can be an indoor game, but 1 or 2 hours every day you must devote towards hobbies. That is a kind of diversion, and that is not only diversion but also gives you adequate knowledge about the hobby which you are in any case going to mention in your DAF at the time of interview. So hobbies and interests are of paramount importance, otherwise your life will become very dull. You have to practice throughout your life some hobby or the other. So hobbies you should try to inculcate right from the student days itself and develop that, so that you take some time off from your studies and inculcate that hobby, follow that hobby, pursue that hobby, and that will bring lot of happiness and cheer to you.
So one of the solutions which you discussed in order to manage stress was meditation. Again, students usually face difficulty maybe in order to practice meditation or implement the meditation process. How exactly students should maybe prepare and again do mindful meditation in order to overcome the stress which they are facing?
So Paritosh, meditation is something which is connecting with oneself, and it is not something very difficult, but there are different types of meditation. Even if you sit alone in a room and close your eyes, concentrate on any part of the body, it can be heart, it can be anything, and let your ideas, let your thoughts wander here and there, and concentrate on something, and after some time you will find that your ideas, they will start settling down. The haphazard movement of things which are going inside your head, it will bring a lot of peace to you. That also is a meditation. But if you happen to know someone who is also a teacher of meditation, it's always a good idea to get teaching of meditation from a regular person, guru, who already is practicing that. But believe me, meditation is something which is going to bring lot of peace to the mind, because mind, after reading so much of material, so much of knowledge, sometimes become very confused and stressful. That stress can be brought down by meditation. Meditation essentially is bringing yourself in peace with yourself. That is possible only when you sit in a secluded corner in a room, on the floor, or even on a chair, and close your eyes and start concentrating on something. As I said, meditation need not, there are many types of things which are followed, disciplines in meditation. I am not at all suggesting any particular form of meditation, but any meditation which brings you happiness to you, you must practice at least half an hour of meditation, and then you can slowly increase it to further amount also. And if you can go to a religious place, I am not saying which religious place, it can be any religious place, it can be temple, it can be mosque, it can be gurdwara. There also, since there is lot of peace, you can sit there and do meditation. And this meditation is definitely going to be very helpful for CSE preparation, and this you should not only do while preparing for the civil services, but it should become a part of your life later on also. No family member will disturb you once they know that you are fond of meditation, and it is just like I would say, just like you have to look after your body, and for that you require sports and games. Similarly, you have to look after your soul, and that thing is looked after by meditation.
So there is a common perception among students that in order to effectively prepare for the examination, you need to seclude yourself from socially and again lock yourself in a room and then study. And they fail to socially interact with other fellow mates or maybe socially interact with people. How important it is to socially interact at the same time while preparing for the examination?
So, Paritosh, it is absolutely necessary that you interact with people socially while preparing for the civil services and beyond that also. One of the important things you must understand is that your success in your career getting into civil services will be primarily because of your academic intelligence, but later on in your life it will be your emotional intelligence which is going to play a very important part, and that is basically interacting with people, establishing relationships. So interacting with people should begin while you are studying for the examination. You should meet people who know more than you, so that you get certain amount of knowledge from those people, because ultimately you should try to get as much knowledge material inside your head. It's going to be helpful to you in mains also as well as in interview also, and it is also a kind of diversion. You meet different types of people, then you start thinking that my thought is not the only thought which is there, the other people are also having wisdom. So you get lot of wisdom by interacting with other people. You understand the viewpoint of other, you are in a position to empathize with others, because human beings, we are very egoistic persons, and therefore in order to bring down ego, it is necessary to talk to people. And so therefore the 8 hours which I was mentioning, you should devote 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to study, the other 8 hours that should be towards sports, towards games, towards social interaction, meeting professors of the university if there is one, or one of your old professors, or with your parents, or with your friends, anyone, but do devote at least 1 hour every day to interacting with people, because that is going to help you out in 3 things: knowledge, skills and attitude. It is going to improve your knowledge, it is going to improve your skill, for example communication skills which is required for the interview, as well as it will bring positivity in your life, which is an attitudinal thing which is extremely important.
As you already discussed, sir, now ki it is very important to be socially active and at the same time physically active. Yes. I would like to again emphasize to our students ki what importance it is for maybe doing regular exercise or some kind of physical activity in order to stay active and again remain stress free in this preparation process.
Yes, Paritosh, remaining physically active is necessary throughout your life. You remember COVID-19 days were there. We were all fixed up inside our homes. We were not moving out. But then doctors advised us that in order to gain immunity, you must do some walks within your house itself. Do some exercises. Hit the gym if there is some gym inside your house. Because physical activity actually makes you at peace with yourself. It brings the movement of blood, starts racing up, and you feel very happy because there is a certain amount of coolness which comes inside you after doing a lot of exercise, even if it can be a treadmill or it can be weightlifting, or it can be long walks. Whatever you do, you must devote at least 1 hour every day towards gaining physical quotient, because physically if you are inactive, you will fall asleep quickly. You will not, you will be prone to many diseases, infections, and 1 hour of one year of preparation requires everyone to be totally fit, and therefore physical fitness, you should inculcate that habit from the very beginning. And when you will join the civil services, there also take care that you play tennis, you play badminton, you play some other game in order to remain fit, because nowadays the life expectancy is increasing, and so are the challenges and so are the stresses. So therefore in order to remain totally fit and fine and look after the work well, you need to take on exercises every day. Some people are very, they feel lethargic. All right, we will not do it. Tomorrow we will start it. But the important thing you have to remember, there is a saying in Hindi, jab jage tab bhor. You have to start that bhor someday. So start doing some exercise. For example, having a small gym at your home itself. If you don't want to go out, at least have a few things of your gym at your home and start doing it. And so meditation is for soul, but exercise is for your body, and both these things are necessarily to be kept young.
So as we discussed about soul and body, now coming to body, it is very important maybe to eat right food, right? And again, students while preparing for the examination end up eating junk food, and this is something which leads to stress, right? Stress leads to maybe overeating or eating junk food or food which maybe sometimes help them to calm down by their stress what they're going through. How important it is to eat a nutritional food or a nutritional diet during the examination process?
So Paritosh, food gives us energy, but good food gives us good energy. And as you very rightly pointed out, nutritional food is the need of the hour. So take extra protein, don't take too much of carbohydrates, so no sugar or less sugar, and eat lot of fruits, lot of vegetables, green vegetables, and go to sleep early, in the sense that have food early, so that there is a gap between your sleeping and your taking food. Taking, as I said, junk food is bad food. There is no doubt about it. All the studies have proved. Once in a while it's okay, but making it as a habit, ordering food at your home from outside, which is generally in the form of junk food, I don't think it's a very good thing. You must take home cooked food. I think your mother's food which she prepares, that will be the best food. And don't take too much of oily or greasy things, and lot of curd, yogurt is a very good thing. So protein, yogurt, roughage, fruits, vegetables, these are the things which are required, because that will ensure that you don't get fat, because lot of studies sitting at the table for such a long time is likely to you are likely to put on weight. So in order to avoid that situation from developing, because if you have developed the habit of gaining weight, it will continue throughout your service also. So therefore, develop this habit of eating only nutritional food from the very beginning. I know some people would like to eat a lot of puri and kachoris and other greasy thing, which is a good thing occasionally, but not always. And particularly 1.5 years, keep yourself away from these kinds of foods. And then you will also, in fact, what will happen is, if you do a lot of good exercise, if you take nutritional food, you yourself will stop taking any kind of those junk food, because then you will start saying, oh, I will become overweight. And it is such a good feeling if you take nutritional food, fruits, vegetables. So develop into that habit, and that can only start when you start talking about it today, that tomorrow onwards I will not do this, because jab jage tab bhor, it has to start someday. So let's do it now.
Thank you, sir, for coming today and again guiding our students very comprehensively regarding the stress management techniques. And I'm pretty sure the Student Wellness Center initiative Vision IAS is going to help students a lot, maybe to first acknowledge the fact that they are going through stress, and then again effectively manage it very effectively. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Paritosh. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you, students, for watching us today. Please acknowledge the fact that again stress is something which is very natural and which is very common problem, and again everyone can face it. The point here is to effectively manage it. Please utilize the Student Wellness Center initiative of Vision IAS, which will help you out to maybe manage your stress very effectively. Thank you for watching us, and all the very best.